Well, welcome to another Memphis Money 94. Today we're going to be building what I'm calling a sewing thread case. I have a friend who has who's into sewing, and she's got all these, about 100 of these thread bobbins, all filled with, this one doesn't have any thread on it, but they're filled with thread. And she wants a case that she can just open the door and reach up there and take the bobbin she needs, but she wants it in a closed case. So let's not knock off the chit chat and get to work. When she was describing what she wanted, I was making a drawing at the same time, so we'd be on the same sheet of music. She wants it about 48 inches and 36 inches high, and then it'll have 10 shelves in it, up and down here. So this is the overall plan. Let's look at some of the parts. These shelves sit in these little dados all along the side pieces here. And I didn't want the dado to go all the way through because it would show on the front. Let me show you how I solve that. There's a lot of ways to cut off these dados. You can use a router and just route right up to the edge and then square the corner with a small chisel. But I used a couple of stacked saw blades in my table saw and just cut all the way through. And then I added this extra piece of wood on the edge. Okay, the next thing I gotta do is put some rabbets on these side pieces here. Some 3/4 inch wide and 1/2 inch deep rabbets that will receive the bottom and the top. I'm doing a practice piece here because there'll be a lot of lead flying, and I want to make sure it's going to work. Well, here's a partial dry fit up just to make sure my scheme is going to work. The shelves sit in these 10 dados here. I only got 3 shelves in. You can notice the space underneath the shelves. That is to make room for the sliding glass. Let me show you the sliding glass tracks. I have a piece of Lexan that is 48 inches long. I'll cut it in 2, and it'll be sitting in these tracks here. Now you've seen the partial layup of the box. Maybe this drawing makes more sense. You can see the plexiglass, the Lexan in here. It's not going to have knobs, it's going to have holes I'll drill into the Lexan. The Lexan will overlap here in the center about 1 inch, and then there'll be a hole at this end and a hole at this end. If you want to get in this side, you slide the Lexan this way, and the same thing if you want to get on this side. You slide. Okay, I guess the next thing to do is start assembling the box. I'm sticking the joints together. I'm putting the glue on with a paintbrush. These joints have quite a bit of surface area, so you want to make sure you don't waste any of it by not having enough glue. And I'm using 1.5" 16 gauge brads. I just got to make sure they don't blow through. Already had one blow through. I've got the back cut out, and I just placed it down inside the rabbets. That squared the box up. I'm not going to glue it and nail it until I fit the shelves because I don't know if I can get the shelves in with the back in place or not. And so I need to check that before I put this in permanently. The beauty of putting the back on a box like this is I don't even worry about squaring the box up until I put the back on it, because the back will, if you make your back nice and square, and then you can use that to square the box. Okay, here's the left corner. 61 inches. So we got lucky. I got the shelves in here, and the beauty of it is that I can put these shelves in with the back in place. And so these things can be taken out and put back in depending on whatever the maintenance needs are. What I'm doing now is I'm building a brace that'll go down the middle. This thing won't have a lot of weight to it, but these things are 48 inches long, and they'll sag under their own weight if you don't provide a little bit of support or potential support. What I'm doing is instead of making dados, I'm building this thing piece at a time, making kind of fake dados, and I'm holding together till the glue dries with a thing called a pin nailer. This is a 23 gauge. I got the brace in. What I'm doing now is installing a screw to hold it in place. I'll do that at both ends. That way you can take that brace out if you need to for some reason. Okay, let's try sliding this Lexan into the box again, just to make sure it fits before we put the bottom on. Well, this project going awful smooth. Putting the back on, be drum roll time here pretty soon. Bottom is in, and the glass still fits, so that's a good sign. What I need to do now is take this Lexan and cut it right down the center into two pieces. Then I'll put one of the pieces in the bottom track and one piece in the top track. What I'm doing here is installing the trap door. This piece of wood right here comes off so you can take the glass out or take the shelves out. If I didn't put this in here, it would have been impossible to get to any of that stuff. Here's the difference between the, this is a 20 volt driver. It's much more powerful and fast. And this is the 12 volt screwdriver. See how much more controlled it is? Okay, let's stand this thing up and see if the doors work. This thing will be mounted. This thing will be mounted on the wall. Get access that way. What I got to do is put a couple of holes in the Lexan, and what I'm doing here is practicing. Next operation is finishing, staining it and all that business, and I got to sand it and all that. To do all that, I have to take it apart. The glue has gotten into my dados and glued some of my shelves in. I guess maybe I should have thought of that before, huh? Staying in our project today with this stuff they call natural. It'll be real light. I'm going to do the shelves in a little darker color though, to add a little contrast. Shelving material is poplar. It looks a little drab, so I'm going to stain it cherry, and that'll add a little contrast to the project too, since the rest of the project is kind of light. My glass is ready to go. My staining job on my shelves just came out exactly the way I wanted them. Sometimes that actually happens. And the box is all stained. So let's let this stain dry and we can do some final assembly. The stuff dried, the stain dried, and I put a coat of polyurethane on it. I got everything laid out here to show that this thing is, you can take it apart to work on it. And the reason I make a big deal about that is some future owner of this thing may need to get inside of it to replace a shelf or take a shelf out or put a shelf in, change the glass, but if you can't easily get into it, you know, then you're hosed. So that's the reason I'm making a big deal about this, because this is actually a good feature of this thing, the fact that you can take it apart. Okay, let's do some assembly. Okay, the first thing I got to put in is the little shelves. They're not, some of them are cut to fit, but most of them aren't. I'm picking the best side and putting it up. Now, I don't know if it matters. You can probably see the, yeah, that's one that's special fit. And what I'm installing here is the brace bar that goes across the center. I don't need it in there to hold it holds the shelves in place, but don't need it there for that. It's basically there to keep these shelves from sagging over time. I could have connected the shelves to the back, and that would have kept it from sagging, but then you couldn't have taken the shelves out. So this is the best compromise here. The first thing we installed was the shelf. Second thing was the shelf braces. And now we'll put the glazing in it, the glass or the Lexan or the plexiglass or whatever we're calling it. Okay, and the only thing to remember here is that the little hole has to go down towards the end. Okay, and then this will be the top piece here. Now the last piece I need to install is what I'm calling the trap door. And the trap door allows us to get into the project and take the glass out or whatever we need to do. Okay, let's set her up and see what she looks like. I haven't determined which is the top and which is the bottom. They're symmetrical, but let's set her up. And here's our little deal here. Let's slide this off and see if it fits in there. Now that'll do it for another Memphis Monday. Memphis Monday 94, the sewing thread spool case. Another project that went pretty smooth, no glitches, and so we got to be thankful for that, or unthankful, whatever your perspective is. Well, I guess that's it. Nope. I just remembered something. Make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.